I'm Dr. Arts. I am here to talk to you today about menopause and what I wish more women knew before they got even close to that stage in their lives. So, menopause, I think we've kind of assumed is this really awful experience to go through. And it's something that a lot of women anticipate with fear and kind of angst as they get older. They have really only heard awful things about menopause, right? You don't sleep, you have hot flashes, you're sweating and going through the sheets in the middle of the night, your mood is all over the place, you have no libido, right? I mean, that doesn't sound like something that a woman would want to go through. And let's be honest, women go through plenty of things throughout their lives that men never have to go through. So the idea of like, oh, wait, there's more is depressing. There's no other way to put it. What I wish women knew is that this uncomfortable stage of menopause is not inevitable. There are a lot of reasons why menopause can be more difficult from one person to the next. And there are a lot of ways that we can make it more comfortable for women as they approach menopause. What is the difference between a woman who ages, as we say, gracefully versus one that is really going through it in menopause? I would say the biggest difference between those women actually has nothing to do with what we assume. Most of us assume, and most physicians assume, that hormones are the only thing at play when we are going through menopause. Naturopathic doctors know that there's a deeper root cause to this that can affect the way your hormones are processed. So, the biggest difference between a woman who has very few or no symptoms going through menopause or a woman who is really going through the hot flashes and the night sweats and the libido issues and the mood and the digestion and all of that kind of stuff has a lot to do with the way that their body is processing hormones. Processing hormones happens mostly in our liver, but it starts before that and it starts in our digestive tract. We have specific enzymes in our gut that are responsible for recycling hormones. If there is something that is disrupting that process from occurring efficiently, we can end up with a lot of hormones in circulation that are not at their level of peak performance. They've kind of already been used. There's really no place for them in our body. And in some cases, they can be toxic. So that's going to make you feel much worse. Your body is trying to get rid of these hormones through your digestive tract, through your lymphatic system, yet they're being recycled, they're kind of being upcycled because of some process or disconnect that's happening in your gut. So it's always a part of treating a menopausal woman, for me, a perimenopausal woman, it's always a part of their plan to do a stool test so that we can be really comprehensive in our approach to what they have going on. So easy once you have kind of entered into this era of your life that we call perimenopause or menopause itself to really write off a lot of symptoms as, oh, well, it's just menopause. And the truth is a lot of the experiences that we have as menopausal women aren't necessarily related to the hormonal changes that happen during that time of our lives. If you are struggling with something, for example, like brain fog, could that be related to hormones? Absolutely. Is that the only thing that might be contributing to brain fog? Unlikely. Brain fog is going to come from the food that we eat, histamine that might be causing inflammation in our body. It could be coming from dysbiosis in our gut. It could be inflammation in our system, maybe autoimmunity or some other undiagnosed condition that we have. Brain fog is also something that can come from overwhelm and stress and adrenal hormones dysfunctioning, thyroid, right? So again, you can see so easy when we enter into menopause to say, oh, well, the brain fog is related to this. But there are a lot of other places that brain fog could have been coming from. And had we have prepared, maybe that didn't have to be a symptom that was so prevalent during our time in menopause. This applies to every single symptom that we write off. Now, I will say night sweats and hot flashes tend to be primarily hormone driven. So those two, we can do a lot by manipulating hormones in the right way. Bioidentical replacement. I never want to replace a female with enough hormone to make her cycle regularly when she's supposed to be kind of dying down on. So that is something that I will use when it's appropriate, but it's certainly not a first line when it comes to other symptoms. So these would be things like fatigue, Insomnia is a really common one. We do lose a lot of progesterone as we get closer to menopause. Progesterone is unnerving, but can we support our nervous system in other ways that don't necessarily involve bioidentical replacement? That's always an option too. Other things like joint pain. I mean, we really have to look at where is a lot of this inflammation coming from. Weight gain, that's a really big complaint for menopausal women. I can't take off these 5 or 10 pounds. They just seem to be stuck there. I haven't changed anything about the way I move my body or the food that I put into it. Why do I have all of a sudden this little bit of belly fat there? Believe it or not, that's protective, by the way. I know all of us want to get rid of that little pooch as we get into menopause, but that little pouch of chub that's there is there to house estrogen, because as we get into menopause, we lose a lot of our estrogen when our ovaries aren't working anymore. And so we want to have a reserve. We want to have a reserve so that our body can be super healthy and less symptom as we go through menopause. So it is worth rethinking if some of the symptoms that you've been writing off as menopausal might actually have a deeper cause. And working with a naturopathic doctor is a really great way to do that. My philosophy when it comes to menopause is the same philosophy that I take anytime a woman is struggling with the way that she feels in her body. And that is, can we look at the whole person? Can we look at their environment? Can we look at their physiology? Can we look at them from a physical and mental perspective? And then can we see how much of this is related to the term that we've given it, menopause, and how much of this is related to the stress on this woman's body over the last 5 decades? How much of it is related to the environment that she may be living in? Are there exposures that we're unaware of that we need to take care of? How much of it is related to her digestion and her tea and toast diet? Not really feeding herself the way that she should be or eating on the go. It's the, kind of as we come to the end of our work career, that tends to be as we're going through menopause. How much of it is related to things like work stress, sleep? How much of that is related to hormones versus other types of things like adrenal hormones as well? So my philosophy will always be root cause, no matter what condition or what person I'm treating. And that means that we need to look at each person so that we can get that person better in a very meaningful and very long-term way.